Right. Hello, guys. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. My name is Aakash and I welcome you all here at our series of the critical reasoning sections, and we call it Critical Reasoning Success Series. I welcome you all on the behalf of the whole Law Prep Tutorials team. And we'll be discussing a lot of things related to critical reasoning. First of all, I just want to wait for some more students to join so that we can start the session. Right. Good evening, Dave. Hi, Shruti, Anshika, Ruman, Rishit. Hi, how are you guys doing? Hello, Lalit, Naman, Ambika, Jigyasa. It's really nice to see you guys here. Okay, so as we can see, this is Critical Reasoning Success Series. So I just want to give you a brief introduction of what it is all about and how what are we going to do in the upcoming few sessions. And also, I would like to tell you ki how is going to be like how we are going to fix the approach towards getting things done through this series of sessions. Okay. Um, Actually, we are already having one series and that goes live on Wednesday. Smriti ma'am takes that, and we felt that okay, एक और भी सीरीज होनी चाहिए हम लोग साथ में और पूरे आपके लिए वीक के लिए पार पैक performances लेके back to back आते रहना चाहते हैं, and that is why we are here with this. So Wednesday you'll have that. On other days of the week you'll have different classes, and on every Friday from now onwards you will have this critical reasoning success series. This is a bit more this is a session where we'll talk more about the flaws in our approach while attempting the sections of logical reasoning. A lot of students come up with different types of doubts. A lot of students come up with like very odd doubts also, right? Some of the things, some of the doubts deal with the theoretical knowledge of the subject. Some of the doubts deal with the concepts of the subject specifically. That is something that can be dealt with easily because we have already taught you a lot of things, and we just have to redefine the approach, and then we'll say कि अच्छा चलो ये करके ऐसा कर लिया, ये हमने आपको एक्सप्लेन किया, और एक्सप्लेनेशन के बाद आपको ये समझ में आता है कि ठीक है सर, कुछ नहीं, वो थोड़ा सा सिली मिस्टेक हुआ या ये थोड़ा सा वीक पॉइंट है, 10 दिन काम करूंगा तो यहाँ से मैं अच्छा कर जाऊंगा. But at the same time there are students who come with some other kind of doubts, and those doubts means, sir, when I look at the screen for the next 30 minutes everything starts going vanished. So it is blurred now, it is blurred now. अब थोड़ा सा ऐसा लग रहा है कि अब मुझे समझ ही नहीं आ रहा, मुझे दिखता ही नहीं है, या सर फोकस लूज हो जाता है. सर क्रिटिकल रीजनिंग में तो हम लोग कुछ समझ ही नहीं पाते. क्रिटिकल रीजनिंग में सर यदि इस टाइप के कोई पैसेजेस आ जाते हैं या फिलोसॉफिकल पैसेज आ गए तो सर हम तो गए. सो अ लॉट ऑफ क्वेश्चंस लाइक दिस, राइट? सर फर्स्ट वाला पैराग्राफ पढ़ता हूँ वो तो ठीक है, बट एट द टाइम आई स्टार्ट रीडिंग द सेकंड पैराग्राफ एंड आई एम डन विद दैट, आई फॉरगेट एवरीथिंग आई read in the first paragraph. How to deal with such situation then? Sir, I think that my average speed reading is very low. Now you think that your average speed reading is very low, and you attempt that with that mentality, with that thought in your mind, and you want to succeed in the examination. So there are a lot of things that we can discuss here. Also, if you are stuck in a maze and you cannot think how the maze is created, then there is a problem. There are two ways. One, you have to be a champ at first. कि यदि सारे concepts आते हैं, मुझे अपने ऊपर बहुत confidence है, I'll get through everything. Don't worry about anything. But if you talk about the other way around, if you want to crack each and every question that comes your way, you will have to think the other way around, and that is how the question maker thinks. We'll have to gauge that thing as well. जहां पर क्वेश्चन मेकर ट्रैप से ये सोचो ना कि इफ यू आर अ क्वेश्चन मेकर एंड यू वांट टू क्रिएट अ क्वेश्चन, how many types of questions, how many question stems you can create, how many different types of questions you can like ask from the students, and how you create the options, how you place the trap there for the students, and you want कि बच्चे इसमें जाके फंस जाएं, silly mistakes commit करें और मेरा क्वेश्चन अच्छा हो जाए. So if you want to crack all the questions, and if you are a very good aspirant, you also have to think there is a need and requirement for you guys to start thinking like question makers also. So we'll concentrate more towards that thing, how to think like a question maker. So the we actually here through this series of sessions are eyeing at making this transformation for you guys happen. We want that you travel towards this version of yourself from this. Now, look, critical reasoning it is. Things are different. Things are sometimes complicated. The text that you come across, that is complex text, all right, not that much easy to comprehend. So you get stuck. It should not bother you, because if even there are faculties और बहुत सारे लोग ऐसे भी हैं कि 8 साल से 10 साल से कोई लोग हम लोग भी पढ़ा रहे हैं, तो कई बार ऐसा होता है कि यार हमें भी ये समझने में दिक्कत होती है कि भाई साहब क्या बोलने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं. So that is natural, but if that happens with you guys, you take that on the heart कि यार अब तो मेरी जिंदगी बर्बाद हो गई यदि मैंने ऐसा कर लिया. ये नहीं होना चाहिए. और इसके लिए वी वांट कि ओके, इफ यू आर एक्चुअली हैविंग दैट थॉट फ्लो कि आप लोगों को समझ नहीं आ रहा है और आप लोग ये सोच रहे हो कि किस तरीके से क्वेश्चंस के आंसर्स निकालने हैं, तो हम कंफ्यूजन की इस स्टेट में ना होकर एटलीस्ट इस स्टेट में तो हो. So if the logical reasoning set is confusing in itself, you will have to be less confused there, right, in order to get the things done for yourself. You will get that in your favor, but the point is you will have to remain calm. And the one thing that I always want, that I always tell my kids, and that is कि जब भी तुम पढ़ने की कोशिश करते हो, you always think कि one word, if it is written in the passage and if the meaning of which is unknown to me, my comprehension is zero. Then यदि तुम्हें एक भी चीज ऐसी लगती है कि यार ये वाला लाइन समझ में नहीं आई, यू फील लाइक अब तो मेरा कंप्रीहेंशन गड़बड़ हो गया, ये मेरे से बनता नहीं है. बट वही बात आती है कि इफेक्टिव रीडर कैसा है, कौन होता है इफेक्टिव रीडर. एन इफेक्टिव रीडर इज नॉट द वन हु knows each and the meaning of each and every word. An effective reader is not the one who actually reads the words. An effective reader is the one who reads the thoughts. So if I am going through that particular article, if I am going through a paragraph, and if I get the gist out of that, if I get the crux out of that, if I get the main idea of the author, if I get to understand his tone, then the thing is done. Even if some part, if I miss out on a certain part, that is something which is manageable, until and unless you're filling the right mark on the OMR sheet. Sam dam dand bhed kuch bhi ho, we have to get the marks. That is it. So there are two ways. One way, get the knowledge, practice hard, practice harder, practice hardest, and get through the examination. The other thing, if I think that there are certain cases where I am not James Bond, I can be at least Agent Vinod. If I'm not James Bond, इट इज नॉट दैट कि मुझे ये चीज बिल्कुल नहीं आती. तो यदि हम वो हमारा वीक जोन भी है, तब हम जीरो पे नहीं खड़े हुए हैं. हमारे वीक जोन का मतलब होता है कि समवेयर बिटवीन 5 to 8 we'll score, and where we are James Bond, we'll score 10 on 10, 9 on 10. Some margin of error has to be given. All right, now I'll directly start the session. We'll keep it simple. We'll have one passage for you, but also I'll tell you what are we going to discuss in the days to come. Okay, so the points of discussions in the upcoming sessions, the general issue faced in logical reasoning section, like how to remember the things, how to carry the thoughts, how to select the important information, and how to keep aside the unimportant information, how not to carry the garbage while solving the questions. All right, after that, how to be less confused while logical reasoning section is confusing already. So how to judge the difficulty level while you are attempting the passages. Okay, how to judge that. Sometimes this happens that the overall section of logical reasoning is tough, and you take the general version of any easy mock of yours where you could have like scored more, and you could have like attempted more questions, and you attempt the questions according to that mark where you have scored good in that difficult mock. And if this happens, there your score suffers. So it is really important for you to judge कि भाई होगा क्या. Look, we are faculties, we can just train you to face any kind of situation in the examination, actual examination. but it will be you guys who will be coming back after writing the CLAT examination and telling us, sir, this was the CLAT examination. This is how CLAT 2021 looks like. So there's always some area which will remain gray, and you will come back and tell us, look, sir, this is the definition of that. So how to tackle that uncomfortable situation, how to judge the difficulty level of the passages, and how these things are done. This is the second thing we will have in our minds. Third thing, different types of question stems. I ask you to do this. If you want to crack all those questions, don't think like the aspirants. Think like the question makers. So how to think like the question makers? To think like one, we'll have to get aware of all the tools that he has to create the questions. Yes or no? So we will get aware of all the tools that a question maker has. All right? और वो किस तरीके के content से कैसे questions बनाता है. We'll work upon that thing in the days to come. Then, if we have certain fixed dimensions of creating question stems, when he creates the incorrect choices, look, he'll create one correct choice and he'll create three incorrect choices. All right, this is all about gauging down the strategy of the question maker. That is it. Okay, so different ways of eliminating the incorrect choice means the different ways of creation of wrong or incorrect options, and how these are created, how we can sort things out when it comes to those. All right, and the last, we will practice different types of questions to practice all these things that we learn throughout the series. Okay, this is going to be our agenda of this series. Okay, now I just want to tell you one thing again for today's session. Yes, ma. Okay, chalo. For today's session, I just want to tell you one thing. We'll have one passage today, and we'll try and crack that passage. But before that, I just want to give you some certain tips. When you say माइंड मैपिंग करते हैं, हम फिशबोन स्ट्रक्चर हम बनाते हैं, सर हमें उसके वो भी हमारे लिए टफ चीज होती है. सो लिसन अगेन, if I release the statement, or if there is a paragraph that is written, or if there is a passage that is written, the author has certain message to give through that passage or a statement or a paragraph. Yes, passage में भी, पैराग्राफ में भी, और स्टेटमेंट में भी, हर जगह. राइट, अब ये चीजों में अब एक ऑथर ने क्या सोचा, उसके पास एक मैसेज है, he wants to give that message. If that particular passage is of the length of the word limit 750 or 650 or 450, doesn't matter. That message that he wants to communicate, that message will be of somewhere around 50, 60, 70 words, 50, 60 words on the higher side. We will have to concentrate and focus more upon identifying that and keeping aside the rest of the information which is garbage, and then answer the questions. So in this manner, if I say ki, sir, I do not remember the things when I read, there is no requirement for you to remember each and everything that you go through. But there is a requirement for you guys to get aware of all the things and dimensions that are discussed. To get aware of all the dimensions, do not remember all. If I am saying this because if you come across certain thing, you will have to just recall कि yeah, it was somewhere in the passage. Okay? अब उसके बाद भी ये चीज देखो. How to remember that? If I try to remember all the information that is given in the passage, that will be a very cumbersome task for me. That will be a very cumbersome task for me. It will bog me down. समझ ही नहीं आएगा, इतना हम कर नहीं सकते. यदि फोटोजेनिक मेमोरी है तो बात अलग है, मगर है भी तो क्यों उसका इस्तेमाल कर रहे हो इतना. देखो, जब भी I'll go through the paragraph, try to come up with a phrase with the help of which you can flag the information. आप उस information को flag कर पाओ. आपने first paragraph पढ़ा, one phrase or one word with the help of which you can flag the information that you have gone through in the first paragraph. This is one thing that you have to do. Second paragraph you will go through, you will do the same thing. Third paragraph you will go through, you will do the same thing. Fourth paragraph you will go through, you will do the same thing. We will have 4 different flags of this information which is scattered throughout the passage. Are you getting this point? Are you getting this point, guys? So we have a passage here. which is of the length of 470 or 450 words, 450 words actually to be specific, 442. All right, you will have to go through that. We'll solve that together, and I'll tell you by the end how to remember the important information from there. We'll discuss the questions and then we'll call it a day. All right. So without wasting much time now, we'll directly move towards the passage. I'll give you proper time to read that. You can drop a message once you are done reading with that. After you are done with reading, I'll show you the questions and then we'll solve the questions. Okay. So I'll show you the questions now. I am getting a lot of responses, or I'm getting a lot of queries in different areas of critical reasoning. But let me tell you, I'll consider each and every thing that you're mentioning here. Even if you have certain doubts, you can drop it as a message on the YouTube channel or on our YouTube channel below this mm, video. Hana, you drop a message, you suggest something, we'll include that in the next session. Don't worry about that. Still, by the end of the session, I'll take certain doubts. Don't worry about that. Okay. इंग्लिश और सीआर के पैसेजेस अलग कैसे होते हैं, एंड दीज क्वेश्चंस, लोग कुछ नहीं है, लैंग्वेज कंप्रीहेंशन के बारे में यदि तुम बात करोगे, देयर आर थ्री डायमेंशंस ऑफ द कंप्रीहेंशन. वन इज साइंटिफिक, व्हिच मींस साइंटिफिक dimension of the language, the rule book of the language, which deals with the grammatical aspect and all. Then the decoration of the language, the words, vocabs, all the phrases, all these expressions, the devices, ये सारी की सारी चीजें इधर आती है. But the philosophical aspect, if you talk about that, it is the language plus logic. Here comes the role of critical reasoning. So जब हमें ये पता करना हो कि what is the hidden idea behind this, what is the inference of this, what is the basic idea behind this, what's the main idea, what can we infer, what we cannot infer, what the author is trying to say, what is his perspective. If we talk about all these things, arrangement of the paragraphs, the role played by specific paragraphs, that is when we are dealing with the philosophical aspect. इंग्लिश वाली चीजें इन दोनों चीजों से डील करती हुई होंगी, वो आपके वर्बल के पैसेजेस होंगे. जो यहाँ डील करती हुई होगी वो ज्यादा इन्फ्रेंस बेस्ड रीजनिंग के क्वेश्चंस इंक्लूजन होगा वहां पर, और वो क्रिटिकल रीजनिंग के सेशंस होंगे आपके. Alright, या critical reasoning के आपके passages होंगे. Now I'll show you the passage here on the screen. I'll give you proper time to read this. Go through it. Go through it, guys. Yes, Baba, new. I've taken it from the Hindu editorial page, yesterday's paper. All right. I'm really sorry. There was some technical issue. There was power outage. All right. So backup system got some time to resume the supply. I'm really sorry for that. All right. Chalo. So passage number one. I hope you've gone through this one and these two paragraphs of the passage. All right. We'll talk about the next thing. And now there is some there are two more paragraphs to this passage. So these two, I think, I hope that you all have gone through. Now I'll show you the next two paragraphs of this. These two are the next two paragraphs, guys. Right. Don't forget to drop a message in the chat, in the chat, if you're done reading this. Okay. Okay. Uh, guys, oh, I hope that I'm audible now. The weather condition here is not that much good, so that is why we are experiencing power outage again and again. So I'm really sorry for this. I can't do anything with in this here. So okay, so if you can hear me, please drop a message. Please drop a message if you can hear me, guys. All right, chalo. So now I'll show you the questions. We without wasting much time now, we'll directly move towards the questions. Okay. So questions पे अपन चलते हैं. This is the first question that we have in front of us. Don't tell me the answers straight away. You have the answers with you. All right. Once you are done with all the questions, I'll tell you the answers for all, and then I'll tell you. Then we'll discuss all the questions. Don't worry about that. Okay. But please attempt all the questions in a single go, and after that we'll discuss the questions, the solutions of the questions. This is question number 2. Question number 3 screen. This is the second last question of this set. Question number 4. And the last question for this passage, question number 5. Question number 5. Okay, are you done? Please drop a message if you're done with all the questions, guys. Please drop a message if you're done with all the questions. Are you guys done with all? Okay, cool. So, guys, you have gone through the passage. I will not explain the passage word to word here because my intention of like taking this passage and including that in the session today is different. I just want to tell you, and I just want to teach you the way through which we can take this information with the help of certain phrases. As I was saying, okay. So, if I talk about the first paragraph, I'll just directly tell you those things. Okay. So, how to remember the thought flow? Now, it is not required that we remember each and every word and each and every sentence or each and every piece of information that was there. We'll have to get the gist of that and we'll have to keep that in mind. That is a flag means what? With the help of that flag, we remember the rest of the information that is there. This is what we are going to do. All right. So here, the first paragraph is specifically, if you talk about the starting of it, it reads Indian courts are not associated with the delivery of justice, but with long delays and difficulties for ordinary litigants. So they are talking about the Indian courts, but by the end of the first paragraph, they are talking about the technology and the use of the technology in this overall judicial system of ours. All right. So I have written technology for the courts. This can play that phrase with the help of which I'll remember what was there in the first paragraph. If you talk about the second paragraph, then second paragraph, this was the second paragraph. Now, he was in general talking about the role of technology in the judicial system, the role of technology in the courts. All right. Then here he is specifying the particular discussion. So he is specifying that particular discussion and he's talking more about some specific topic, and that is phase 3 of the e-courts project. And specifically, this passage ends at the concern, the introduction of the concern and the introduction of the problem that he feels can be there. So by the starting of this paragraph, he's talking about phase 3 of the e-courts project, where the government is trying to gather all the information, the data, and they'll use that all and it will be in the surveillance of what? Ministry of Home Affairs. All right. So they're talking about this. So specific discussion of phase 3 of the e-courts. This is the phrase that I can relate it with. Then by the end, because there is a twist, and that twist is he was talking about phase 3 of this particular project, and by the end he's saying this is of particular concern since the data collected, share and collected through the e-courts project will be housed within the home ministry under the ICJS. So home ministry will have the access to this data. This is the concern raised in the end of the second paragraph. If you talk about the third paragraph here, the concern raised by the end of the second paragraph is explained completely. Why is that a matter of concern? Why is that a matter of worry? That he's saying ki, okay, Ministry of Home Affairs will have the access to this data and how this will pose certain threat to that. So explaining the concern here, how it is doing that, in your mind you need not to remember all the things that are there. Again, give your mind certain information as a flag to store the rest of the information. So even if you think explaining the concern was there in the third paragraph, your mind will react in a manner जहां पर वो तुम्हें बताएगा what was there, because these are the things generally. This is the mechanism of your mind, and make use of that. This is really important. Last paragraph was all about suggestions. So in the last paragraph, what was he saying? He is giving the suggestions ki what can we do, what can be done in order to make this thing work in a proper manner, and also how to ensure that there is no breach when we talk about the personal interest of the people, and also the freedom of speech and our fundamental rights. All the things, our fundamental rights done, like our fundamental, this has to be ensured by this, and how we can do that, this is the part here. So suggestions are here in the are here in the last paragraph. Someone was asking which one is the penultimate paragraph. Penultimate paragraph means the second last paragraph, the second last paragraph. Now if you talk about the overall structure, now there's no need to go through the text again and again and again. Technology for the courts was the first paragraph. Then he talked about phase 3, which is specific in nature. Then he's talking about In the end, phase 3, he was talking, he raised a concern. In the fourth one or the third one, he explained that concern, how that concern was there, and how are we going to check the intensity of that, और वो सारी की सारी चीज उसने वहां पर third वाले paragraph में बताई. After that, in the last paragraph, he was suggesting the way out. All right. So this was the overall thought flow. Now I'll tell you the answers for all the questions, and we'll discuss those, and we'll call it a day then. Okay. So question number 1 here says, all of the following options cannot be inferred from the passage except. All of the following options cannot be inferred from the passage except. So the question stem here is actually asking us to hunt for the option which can be inferred, because it is double negative. All of the following options cannot be inferred and except in the end. So the option which can be inferred, this question asks us to identify the inference out of the given choices. So first one, let's talk about it. The lack of a data protection regime India further. Yes. So whatever the scenario, like the scenario presented here in the passage, for this one does not give me any information about what happened in the past. So it is again out of the scope. Third one says the proper functioning of judicial system in India can't be ensured by using technology. He is saying yes, it can be ensured, but if you want to do that, you will have to take certain steps so that the privacy and the data of the people of the country will be secured. So he is not saying that it cannot be done. So it is going against what the author is saying. C will get eliminated. D says the data collection combined with extensive data sharing and data storage is the cause of for concern, given its possible implication on the right to privacy of the citizens. Now, the data collection, this is one issue. And also, he was not saying कि data collection होने के कारण ही सब कुछ हो जाएगा. Data collection and sharing in between different sections of the government, that poses a threat to the security of this data, and that is why D Delhi is the correct choice. Okay. Option A says the lack of data protection regime law. Now, what do you know about the data protection regime law here in India? We do not have any information for that. We are just aware of what is going to happen in phase 3. So that is why A goes relevant, irrelevant, eliminated. C के बारे में उसने बोला the proper functioning of judicial system in India can't be ensured by using technology. ये बिल्कुल नहीं बोल रहा है. If you want to use that, you will have do that. If you want to use technology for the betterment of judicial system here, you will have to take proper precautions for that, so that कोई और चीज, कोई और वायलेशन ऑफ फंडामेंटल राइट नहीं हो जाए लोगों के लिए, तब जाके सी भी एलिमिनेट होता है. तो ए और सी मैंने एक्सप्लेन कर दिए, किसी का डाउट था यहाँ पर. ओके. Then question number 2. Question number 2. Which of the following options reflects the role played by the penultimate paragraph? Now, when we have worked upon the thought flow of the author, when we have created that fishbone structure in our minds, then it will be really easier for us to recall that. The first one was talking about the technology in the field of judicial system. The second one was talking about the phase 3 of e-courts project. The third one was talking about explaining the concerns, and fourth one was the suggestion. So here, if you remember the things by the phrases, it will be easier for you to remember that. A says it specifies the topic of discussion and cites multiple examples of possible breach of data. Even if you have a look at the complete passage, Examples of the breach of data, these are nowhere in the passage. So easy way to understand this is the paragraph number 3 elimination, answer option A elimination. All right. So ये paragraph number 3 में it suggests the way out of the issue at discussion. This will get eliminated. Fourth one says it explains the issue, related data sharing, and mention the possible solutions of the problem. The possible solutions of the problem. This part of this statement here is not talking about paragraph number 3. Why? Because in paragraph number 3, no suggestions, no possible solutions of the problem to the problem were given or mentioned. So D gets eliminated from here. The correct choice for question number 2 is B, Bombay. B, Bombay is the correct choice for question number 2 now. Right? Question number ultimate nahi hai Sahil, penultimate. Penultimate paragraph. Question number 4. Which of the given choices can be concluded from the passage of question number 3 कर लिया क्या हम लोगों ने? नहीं. Yes. Question number 3. Which of the given options, if true, would weaken the author's argument against phase 3 of e-courts projects? What is he saying? He is saying he collecting the data and sharing the data in between different departments of the government will centralize the local data. So the sources of the source of certain data, let's say are the police stations. All right. So this is the local source. So the data is here only. It will centralize the data. So Ministry of Home Affairs will directly have the access to this data. All right. So he's saying that these are all the issues that are there. A says multiple countries in the world do the same in their judicial system. So we'll have to weaken what the author is saying, means we will have to justify that, okay, if they take this data or if they even share this, there won't be any issue in that. Okay. So multiple countries in the world do the same in their judicial system. If we have studied the arguments, you must be aware of this fact that when you talk about personal opinion of someone, and if you talk about like the comparison there, all right, that thing cannot be the strong argument. So just because multiple countries in the world do the same thing, we as our nation, we also do the same. So A gets eliminated because that is the problem with answer option A. B says, in today's era of technology, the government of India, after collecting and sharing the data, can also provide security of this data against all possible internet breach on international platform. Even if they do that, the author's concern is not that कि आप बाद में बचा लेना. The author's concern is that कि आपके पास ही ना जाए. So it is not dealing with that thing. That is why it will be again irrelevant, and it would not weaken the argument. To weaken the argument, we should at least address something which is near to what the author has said. See, even after the application of phase 3 of the e-courts projects, the Home Ministry can only access the data of specific persons, that too with the permission of Supreme Court, if the Supreme Court finds it just. Matlab, if the intervention, or if the access of the Ministry of Home Affairs is justified, then only they can do that. If you choose this one, then the breach of data is not expected up to that extent. So this would somehow weaken the author's argument. D says the access of the Home Ministry to this data is essential. This is vague because if you just say it as essential, you'll have to justify the criteria of saying it or considering it an essential step also. You're not justifying that. Okay, so this is vague. That is why D gets eliminated. So correct answer for question number 3 is C, Calcutta. Question number 4. Aryan, what does this drastic word means for? Stands for. 4. I know that there have been two like obstructions in the class, power outage, but I don't think it will impact that much negatively in your lives. Concentrate. Chalo. Question number 4. I'm just kidding. 4. Which of the given choices can be concluded from the passage above? What is the correct answer for question number 4? Guys, question number 4, what is the correct choice? For question number 4, correct choice is again C, Calcutta. Which of the following choices can be concluded? It is C, Calcutta again. So phase 3 of the e-courts project must devise ways to harness technology for service delivery in the judicial system where the involvement of Home Ministry or any other monitoring agency is denied. So they are saying कि यार इनको deny कर देना चाहिए, but he is not saying कि okay, Sahil, just give me a minute. Yeah. All right. So listen, if you talk about question number option number A, and your doubt is why not A in this question. So phase 3 of the e-courts project must devise ways to harness technology for service delivery in the judicial system where the involvement of Home Ministry or any other monitoring agency is denied. You can talk about Home Ministry as this was the part of the passage. We can talk about this. Still, we can talk about this. But any other monitoring agency means we do not have to monitor anything there. You'll have to devise a way where it is not at all monitored. We cannot choose this one because of this point. B says data collection is practiced. Data collection practiced poses threat to the democracy and fundamental right of the citizens to be specific. Data collection practiced poses threat to the democracy and fundamental rights of the citizens to be specific. Data collection in general or data collection coupled with data sharing in different sections. He is saying, okay, data collection is not that much ill practice in itself, but you are sharing that data too. So this will get eliminated also. C says, though technology can help revolutionize India's judicial system, use of technology needs to be ensured within the constitutional framework of fundamental rights of the citizens. He's saying you'll have to ensure the fundamental rights and do the same thing. We are not saying don't use technology for the betterment of judicial system here in India. Do that, but please ensure the fundamental rights of the people also. So C gets the correct choice. All right, then D Delhi, given that the data collected, shared, and collated through the e-courts project will be housed within the Home Ministry under ICJS. Hence, if it is a draft only, there can be changes. All right, so we can have these changes here. That is why A goes correct. B says it has already been implemented, so can't be changed. This is again invalid. Why? Because he's saying it is still a draft. C says as per the present phase 3 of the E codes, the proposed ecosystem is completely implemented. So this is again invalid. Why? Because he's saying it is still a draft. D says as per the present phase 3 of the E codes, the proposed ecosystem is completely implemented. So this is again invalid. Why? Because he's saying it is still a draft. So this is again invalid. This was something that I wanted to like teach you guys. All right, so how to remember the information, keeping in mind certain phrases with the help of which you flag the information there. All right, so today's session was all about this. I am really sorry that there were certain incidents जहाँ पर हम लोगों को कुछ technical issues और ये सब face करना पड़ा है, but surely the next time we will rock. All right, we'll rock it, don't worry, we'll kill it. So इतना कोई ज्यादा परेशान होने की जरूरत नहीं है. ऐसा ही तो आप लोगों के साथ होता है, कभी कभी दिन ठीक नहीं होता है तो लाइट चली जाती है. यदि लाइट चली गई तो कोई बात नहीं, अगली बार अपन इसका भी तोड़ निकाल लेंगे, बट छोड़ेंगे नहीं जब तक तोड़ेंगे नहीं. टाटा, मिलते हैं. तो मिलते हैं नेक्स्ट क्लास में. खुश रहिए, स्वस्थ रहिए, बहुत सारा प्रसन्न रहिए. टाटा, मिलते हैं, बाय.